Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Boakai, and good morning, Kwame, and good morning to the good people of Liberia.
Good morning, sir. I salute you.
How has it been? I mean, how do we address a former military man? Do we say, sir?
Sorry, just a term of respect. I mean,
Okay.
so you can call me general, you can
General,
call me minister
yeah.
or whatever.
Okay.
It's okay.
Well, how has it been? I mean, you being a former military man, now I don't see the uniform.
It is okay. I'm trying to adjust, even though I miss the uniform, but that's just a part of it.
You miss the uniform?
Oh, sure.
You miss your time being in the army?
Yes, I do, because if you spend more than 1 decade somewhere trying to do what you know best,
Okay.
but I'm still in line of duty, because what I do miss is like when we wake up as a soldier, we really don't think about what shoes, what ties, or which are the coat that you want to choose from in your closet. You just wear your boots and your uniform and you move.
Yeah, we don't have that challenge. We gotta look good.
Yeah, and so I'm trying to adjust to it though.
Yeah, but you were the former chief of staff of the armed forces of Liberia. So people normally confuse who's the boss of the army. The chief of staff or the defense minister.
I'm just the civilian administrator of the armed forces of Liberia, but the chief of staff is in charge.
Oh, you're the civilian administrator.
Right.
But the chief of staff reports to you.
Oh, sure. So the chain of command dictates that he reports to me, and so I'm just that conduit. I'm just a middleman between the uniform personnel and our civilian authority, who happens to be the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
So if the commander-in-chief wants something done, he instructs the chief of staff, or he instructs the defense minister?
He can do it either 2 ways, but the right way to do it is to contact the defense minister. Then I will in turn issue the order down to the chief of staff. And sometimes if he wants to meet the chief of staff, I mean, it's okay, but I have to be in the know to just know exactly what's going on. In case of anything, I will have to report to him too.
Why do people and I want you, just for our layman out there, when you guys started first, you're the minister of defense,
right?
And you say you miss the army.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody would say, but the man already in the army, so will you distinguish your role as defense minister and not being in the army?
Because
for the little guy out there.
Yeah, because I'm no longer restricted, or I'm no longer subjected to the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Okay.
I cannot wear uniform right now, and if I want to talk to the troops, I have to go to the chief of staff to let him know that I want to talk to the troop. I cannot just wake up and go to any barracks. So
oh wow.
Yeah, so being in the uniform is different from when you are out.
Wow.
Okay,
wow.
Because being in the military, you are subjected to 2 laws. Okay, the Constitution of the country and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So for now, I'm only.
But you can at some point, because I know now before assuming the post of defense minister, you retire, right?
Right.
So
honorably,
yeah, you're honorably retired.
Exactly.
Was it something that you had to do?
If you are in the military, you really don't choose where you sleep, what you eat. I mean, your commander will decide for you, and you will just rely on the good judgment of your commander. So if the commander-in-chief tells me that, look, Ziankahn, I want to retire you, even if I said no, I don't want to retire, then the message I'm sending to my soldiers is that, look, if we choose to go to, for example, Mali, you can refuse to do that.
Right.
Okay, so.
Yeah, and my question again is, let me rephrase that. So you're called to serve as, you're in the army, for example, and then the president tap you get the nod to serve as a defense minister.
Right.
Do you have to retire? That's what I'm asking.
Oh yeah, yes. You have to retire
or resign or whatever.
No, you can't really resign. You have to retire because the good thing about it is
or you won't serve the position.
No. The good thing about it is that if you are honorably retired, you go with a lot of benefits.
Correct.
Okay, and then it's like your CV is not tinted. So it is it is okay that I was
The
retired.
thing about it, you're still relatively young. I mean, I read your
Right.
piece,
Yeah.
and you were talking about being a little over 2 schools. So I
No,
assume-
over two schools.
Yeah, but okay. So a little over is
No,
bringing it down, right?
No.
Okay, so we'll say maybe around 45.
So let me tell you my age. When I had my age, I'm
Okay.
49.
You're 49. Oh, okay. So now,
Okay, yeah.
obviously not a little
I'm
over.
49.
Then.
Okay,
So
I'm not
you,
gonna have my
yeah,
age.
you
Everything
over
is
half a buck.
Exactly. So I'm over 2 schools. I will be celebrating my silver jubilee next year.
Yeah, but you still, but
Is it gold or silver? It's silver, right?
Yeah, I
You're
think
50.
silver
Okay,
first.
silver.
50 is
Okay,
yeah.
I'll just.
Let me
50 should be the golden.
and
Oh,
let me,
golden? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
my man, yeah.
Okay.
You forgive me, gentlemen.
and let me ask you this before
Right.
Boakai, before we get into the meat the crux of this particular interview.
I mean, but
Right.
people want to know these things.
Right. It was the early.
And it's an hour,
it
20
was
minute
the-
interview.
Let's say
so we're
around
allowed to-
1908 when you had the Liberian Frontier Force,
Right.
and then fast forward to 1956. Based on the history, we moved to the AFL structure. Or correct me if I may be wrong. As a young person, I know you were not born then. How do you see the army now, especially when you hear the word force for good?
Right.
I saw the AFL back in the days, and most of the military is always owned by African leaders, and then to also the population, or whether it's the opposition or it's us, we tie you up because they will say, okay, the Samado police, the Ellen police, now the Jawia police, they keep tying, that's something that's something. I mean, walk us through that particular part. A force for good back then. Now, what is the army like? Now, you guys are one of the most respected and prestigious. I mean, I traveled to Bonnie,
Yeah.
and the way the guy talked to you, the way they walk to your car, even if you're kind of rowdy up, and all the guys, they think they will stand in front of police. When police ask for the car paper, they will start.
And the
They
thing
don't-
about it, he was the chief of staff
Right.
when that process happened. All the transformation that happened with the army,
Right.
From the public perception that the army was not a force for good, that if I was tribalized,
Right.
and it was factionalized and all of those stuff, he was the chief of staff that supervised, spearheaded that transformation. What happened?
Right.
How did that come about?
Okay, so I just want to be very honest. Those who serve before us or before me, I mean, they did their best, but there has to be evolutions.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, for example, if you have a phone that is maybe the iPhone 8 or 7, and you just brought in the 10 got to be better more than the 8. I mean, every successive generation got to be better than their predecessor. So this is just it, and I think there were lessons learned from the past,
Right.
where you have the military, they could just go in the street and take some civilians in the barracks and put them behind bars and do that. So there were a lot of reforms, and then I think the Civil War taught us some lessons that we have to bring into the force, and we teach that to our soldiers as soon as they enter the base in boot camp. Okay, to know all of this in the Geneva Convention, the laws of armed conflicts, and all these things. So there has to be some evolution. So I think we got to win the hearts and minds of the people, given what we have gone through during the Civil War. And then, of course, hinging on all of that is the disciplinary aspect.
I like that.
Yeah, there will always be folks that will go out there and do some stupid thing or some foolish thing.
Right.
Okay, but the inability of the hierarchy or the leadership to hold them responsible.
Punish them, right.
Yeah, punish them or reprimand them. If you like. So those are some of the reasons why you find the army.
Plus, you guys have a really rigorous recruitment process. I know that if there's any trace of drug, you wouldn't be recruited. If there's any trace of your alignment or any fashion, you wouldn't be recruited. All of those stuff. Talk about it.
Yeah, so before you are taken on the base to be trained, you will be vetted. Okay, so and then the vetting process will take all that into consideration. So I think we are doing well, and it is with the help of the Liberian people that the taxpayers money, and people like you who will try to report some of the wrongs that will be
Right.
happening if one soldier went in a bar or in a market and misbehave. I mean, you have to report that, and you have to report that to us for us to be able to take some drastic action or some disciplinary action, if you like.
I know you're not part of the other security apparatus, but what the AFL has been transformed to now. I mean, it's for our standards, we can say impeccable would be the choice of word used, and tap on your backs.
Thank you
Is this
for the
something that you
compliment.
guys are suggesting to replicate to other forces like the police, the immigration, and I'm not saying that they are not, but you see, you guys are highly feared and respected, and I see
fear,
how
no,
police
no. I mean,
myself
the word
have to.
fear, I don't want you to use.
Well, I mean, in a
use the word
positive
fear.
way, because listen, we commute daily,
Okay.
and I have to at times get down and talk to some people. I mean, you can hear the policeman talking to you. A guy would just come and leave this particular lane. He see government official car, even police car in the queue, and one taxi driver just going.
I mean, and let me just set an example. Some of the times, like Kwame said, you'll see a police officer. In fact, I saw one action yesterday, a guy trying to run down a police officer.
Yeah.
The police officer was stopping him.
Every minute.
But, I walk past your place sometime. I mean, I drive past your place sometimes. His home is on the Congo Town back road. And obviously, he has some armed forces of Liberia folks manning him. And some of the times when the drivers, see those armed forces guys on the road, I mean, people take their time. Nobody overtake.
Yeah.
Because the guys are there.
Right.
So that's how they respect the military.
That's
Yeah.
deterrent.
So I really don't want to speak to the other security agencies or the other security apparatus, but from the armed forces of Liberia perspective, there was a complete security sector reform.
Yeah.
The armed forces of Liberia was built from a scratch.
Wow.
So you will know that there will be some differences, and I'm not saying there's a denigrate or the
Of course, but I
because
mean,
I am part of we are part of the joint insecurity. So I think they are doing the best. You'll find some bad apples, and we are trying to work on it collectively.
That's a good thing.
How's your relationship with the chief of staff?
So the chief of staff and myself, we have a lot in common. We were recruited the same day. We trained on the same base. We went to a lot of schools together, Sierra Leone, the United States, and elsewhere. And besides that, we have the same birth date.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I mean, we do a lot of things in common, though.
So you guys are still cool together?
Yes. Yes, we are cool. I mean, we don't always agree on everything, but that is the military. We can just try to do what we have to do to keep the force going, because you cannot impose your individual feelings, on the group. Okay, so we will try to sit and try to analyze dozens of variables as it relates to certain situation, and then we will find a solution to it. And that's how the military works. The security should be working instead of trying to be at each other's throat or trying to bear grudge and malices and other things.
And let me let the cat out of the bag. When you spoke earlier, you said the Civil War taught us a lot. How do you view the recent statement coming from Honorable Darius Dillon? Let me honorabilize him this morning.
Okay, so I really don't like to delve into political issues, except trying to touch the vein. Except trying to touch the vein of national insecurity, and to be very quite sincere with you, that was wrong. Okay, for you to make such a statement. And I think I heard that he retracted his statement. He had some regrets about it, but I don't think it was okay for him to make such a statement, because you take it or you leave it. I mean, the president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Liberia. So, and we have that obligation to protect every citizen, most especially the commander-in-chief. So I think it was wrong, and I'm glad that he came. And I hope he meant what he said with respect to his apology. I did not listen to it. I don't know whether you did. But I heard from some of my folks and my intelligence officer that he did. And
we can find the excerpts and play it.
So and I don't think I want for people, if you have read my my op-ed that I
Yeah,
think I shared with you.
yeah, I read that this morning.
Those were some of the things that I said.
And that's one of the things. I mean, if you probably have, you need to read the front page Africa this morning. You will see that the defense minister has written an op-ed, an opinion piece, basically talking about, some of these kinds of incendiary remarks, and all of that, and that they are going to. It is their responsibility to protect the peace. But walk us through some of the things you actually meant to convey in that op-ed.
So I really don't want to take all the meat or the oxygen from what I came here for, because I want to talk about the armed forces of Liberia.
Yeah, but that's part of that.
So we have been through a lot, and we all know dimly or clearly we suffer, we feel the pinch one way or the other, and we still have people who are licking the wounds from the Civil War.
I like that.
Either physically or emotionally, they are still doing it. I have a neighbor from where I grew up in Garnersville. Her only son was killed during the Civil War, and her son was my very good friend. We were best friends, and we used to play soccer together. And every time this lady sees me, I mean, she will cry. And so it's like, so people are still, they're just an example of thousands of people.
We're reeling from the civil crisis.
So we really don't need to go back to where we were a few years ago. And from where I sit, from my vantage point, I'm trying to see some of the signs that brought us all of those that's misgivings. If you look in the sub-region, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Ivory Coast, and I would take Guinea and Ivory Coast just for an example. Mm-hmm. Guinea and Ivory Coast, they are on the verge of real civil crisis. Just last year, about 15 individuals were killed from protests right here in Cote d'Ivoire. In Guinea, you don't want to know the counts. And just yesterday, if you read the international news, you will hear that Guillaume Soro just issued a statement. And he is an influential figure in the body politics of Cote d'Ivoire. So all of these are going on, and we know that, look, we just have to maintain what we have.
And we're neighbors.
Okay, we are neighbors. There could be a spillover.
Yeah.
Okay, and they are going, and the worrisome part of it, or the worrisome part about it, is that they are going for elections this year, presidential election, both of them.
Yeah.
And so we cannot be here just for a senatorial election for us to be at each other's throat and want to tear the country down because you want to run, and you can do whatsoever you want to do. Like I said, I don't let it delve into political issues.
Right.
But anytime it touches the border of national
security.
Once it touches the border of national security, I will try to come in at some point.
For instance, in the conclusion of this opinion piece, I just want to read an excerpt of it. He said, a big chunk of the population is still licking their wounds and do not want to go through the same motion again. We as security actors will not sit idly by for our nation's security to be threatened and allow our country to go down the drain once more. Therefore, we will act decisively and accordingly, irrespective of their position and affiliations. To the troublemakers and will-be troublemakers, take heed and govern yourselves accordingly. Remember, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure.
And that is not a threat, it's a promise.
Wow.
It's not a threat.
When you say you're going to move on them decisively.
No, so... like I said, I really don't want to restrict it to a particular individual.
Right.
It was generalized.
Right.
And I really don't care, and we don't really care about your political party or who you know or who you are.
Once our peace is
done. Anything you want, or anytime you want to threaten the peace of this country, irrespective of your affiliation, we will act.
You talk about political party. Are you part of one?
No, we have our own code of conduct within the military, and that prohibits us from getting ourselves involved in politics.
Okay.
So if I am the civilian administrator of the armed forces of Liberia, I should be setting the example.
Okay.
I should not be around any political party, and really I have no appetite for politics.
Really?
No, I read
But
it.
you serve a position that is somewhat political in nature.
Yeah, you may say it's political, but I have soldiers who are guarding me, and so and if we told them not to go to political gatherings, I'll go there. They will be the one moral ground where I
So you've
have.
never
if I
been
see
to any
that someone-
political gathering?
No, I've never been a part of any political party, any political gathering. If I'm going there, then of course it will be to solve some security issues. But I'm
Or
not
maybe
going-
the chief of staff is.
No, the chief of
Or
staff.
maybe no, I mean, or
They
maybe the commander in chief is there, and you got to accompany
No,
him.
so the commander in chief knows that we have talked about it, and,
Okay.
and he's cognizant about our roles. So he has never invited me to any political function, and so I will be.
And talking
Player.
about the commander in chief, you want to tell us, or you care to tell us your relationship between you and the commander in chief?
We have a very great relationship, and we speak all of the time. We just spoke this morning before I came here. I think.
He knows you're coming up.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, we talk a lot of things which I.
Okay, obviously.
Which I
Yeah.
can't disclose here, but
Obviously.
we talk. And, yeah, but the thing is, we have a very great relationship. We play sports together, and we talk on a lot of issues. And so I think the relationship is okay.
Knowing the kind of person you are defense minister. This is a job that any guy out there would want. But you're not that. Let me use my Liberian word, talkative type. Very seldom there are some things that have happened in this country. Any other person will come out and just grab the microphone. But what brought you out this time that you say no?
So there
I
are
have
more.
to speak.
There are more to be done than said. So by you just waking up and going to social media and coming on the talk show, that would not help. My soldiers, like I said, they have a lot of challenges that I wanted to be addressed. So by coming here would not address that challenge. I have to go to the president, I have to go to Minister Twer, I have to talk with some land administrators to get some of these things done. So
Right.
You don't have to be talking, especially when you are in the security field, because you don't want to be disrespected. Things you say might be just taking other context.
Right.
Or they might put some spin on it. And I don't have that time and energy to come and be clearing myself. So anytime I talk or I write or I speak, I mean what I say, and I have no regrets for everything that I do. So yeah, this is why you will not hear me that much. And so if you are in the security community, you should be very quiet and do your job.
Let's talk about the approaching December elections. What's going to be the role of the AFL? Because there's been all kinds of talk. People have talked about the fact that it's going to be a test to our democracy, it'll be a test to the peace and all of that. And there are two major entities that the people rely on to maintain peace: the police and armed forces of Liberia. So
Right.
what are you going to be doing?
So our role has not changed, and it will not change. We will only come in support of civil authority.
Okay.
And I think I really don't want to look at the December election as the biggest test. The biggest test was just 2017, I can tell you for sure.
Really?
It was 2017 when we only had,
Wow.
Yes, it was 2017. For more reasons, and which I would not really get into, but there were a lot of things at stake. So right now, the December 8th election, I really don't see. I think people are trying to make more hills to appear the mountains around.
I like that.
Yeah. So if the politicians, and it is not my job to advise them or to guide them. Like I said, the only time you will find me coming here or to try to write something or to say something about it is when it touches the border of national security. So I really don't care. I really don't give a right to about whether they go to a community or to the outside center and try to talk. I really don't care about that. But if you want to go the distance of taking people from one county to another county and then it will erupt into chaos, then we have to come in. Now everybody will be blaming the police. Oh, the police don't want to, the people are fighting in this place. But again, if you will track some 18, 19-year-old or 20-year-old, kid, you take them from one location, you carry them to another location. You are not putting them into hotels. You're only giving them maybe $15, $20, or $30.
Right.
And then they are going to meet some hostile folks. and then some commotion breaks out, and people start like, what happened in Cape Mount and bombing?
Yeah, we followed that.
People were wounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now you want the police to go there. How do you expect the RG for Patrick to jump from Monrovia? He does not really have the resources to move. So you have to be careful now. But beyond that, there are intelligence that we have some aspirants who are bent on getting people from across the border to come into Liberia to register for the 20.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, really?
So, and we all know that the borders are closed, and you are trying to do that now. Here's the danger. Okay, I'm just trying to declassify it to tell you the danger of it. You don't know who you are bringing in. The
destabilize you because of your little greed.
The sub-region is infested with terrorists, with violent extremists. You don't know who you are bringing. So that's why I said I really don't care about how they do their politics. But as long as their politics will cross the line of national insecurity, we are going to act. And I don't care who you are.
And at what point you determine they've crossed the line?
That's what he's...
Yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you are going across there trying to recruit people or trying to mobilize people to cross the border is closed.
Yeah. That's an illegal act along that crossing.
And they are not using the official border crossing points. They want to use, the unofficial points where you can just get in Kino or use a full pipe and just get on the line and just moving.
Yeah, but that is just one example. I mean, of, but I mean, there are other actions. For instance, campaign is about to open. At what point does the armed forces of Liberia determine that this case or a particular incident has risen to the level that would demand their action?
So we do not just come out.
Okay.
We do not just come out. So we only come out if the police or other security apparatus will tell us that, look, this is beyond their control. Then, of course, we will be that.
Also, they have to signal you.
Oh, yeah, yes. We don't just go in. But in the midst of all of this chaos, we can make a determination and tell the commander-in-chief that, look, there are some critical infrastructures that, look, we have to protect. For example, if there was chaos in Monrovia, you don't expect for kids or some talks to go to the National Bank or the Central Bank to go and do that. We will protect those critical infrastructure, the port, the dam, the airport. Those are places that we will protect in the midst of chaos. But we will only get in. We are not just going there to stop riot. Those are just little things that the police can do, and I trust them giving the resources. I think they can do all of those.
And which begs the question. My next question is that let's before we get to the capacity of your force, let's talk about the porosity of our borders. You spoke of one of that you guys are trying to make a little hills look like mountain in that analogy, but what threat does these particular countries pose for Liberia, and do we have men in all of these different areas, especially knowing the porosity of our border?
We were just in a joint security meeting yesterday, not the day before, and I spoke to the LIS boss,
Bodhi.
Bodhi, the immigration boss. I spoke to him, and we have men at the official crossing points, but there are more than 100 unofficial crossing points.
Yeah.
You have people living in Liberia making farm in Sierra Leone. You have people in Guinea who have farm in Liberia, and
vice versa.
Yeah, and the same go with Cote d'Ivoire, and so. The threat is huge. It was 2016 when that terrorist attack took place in Grand Bassin in Cote d'Ivoire, and I went there and I saw the blood stain right on the beaches. We have to be careful. Like I said, the sub-region is infested with terrorists.
Wow.
With violent extremists. So we have to be careful how we because people really don't know the second and third order effects of the action. They just take those actions in the name of, oh no, I want to bring more people, I want to win. Yes, you can win, and it's none of my business. I really don't care about who wins or who doesn't. But the reality of it is that you should not do things to put other people in their harm's way. And then to make the national insecurity to overwork or to be overstretched.
Right.
That's
we
my
don't
point.
have the
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
I mean, we don't
resources.
have the resources. I think the country, the government can redirect some of those resources to some essential things that are just
Before you go on that, staying with the borders, I listened to Senator Marshall Dennis talking about the BI forest in Grand Gita there, that would be the next threat to our democracy, especially where you have the Morsis. Morsis are those Burkina crossing over to Grand Gita and acquiring land, and they're killing Liberians quietly, and people are not. Is that something you're aware of?
Yes, I'm aware of that, and there are multiple layers to that. I will not really get into it, but I'll just touch on the surface. Yes, the Morsis are there. The Morsis are from Burkina Faso. You have more than, I think, 6.7 or 6.8 millions of them. They are originally from Burkina Faso.
Right.
But you have some of them who are citizens in Cote d'Ivoire.
Correct.
And they cross the border to, I mean, we call them migrant laborers, who will come in. But like I said, there are multiple layers to that. We have some of our citizens who are bringing it in to farm.
That I know.
Because they will just pay them little or nothing. They are very cheap laborers.
That's how they build Cote d'Ivoire, farming.
But then what they are forgetting about, if you look at the culture or the tradition of the Moses, they do not take land lightly.
No way.
That's a prize. Possession for them. They just don't look at land like.
So there is a possibility that they might get there and claim what's there.
Yes, and then some of them have been given some parts of land to even make their farm. It's like
legally.
Yeah, it's like I brought them.
So how do we get them out?
Yeah, so we are trying to work on that. It is not just because you have to be careful before it spills over into geopolitical stuff, because they are from Cote d'Ivoire. You have to be very tactical and careful about how you go about solving that problem, or else you go
pluck out the wrong ones.
Exactly, and do something, and then the government of Cote d'Ivoire could come and say, we are trying to work on that. And I don't want to go in detail some of the plans that we have, but we are trying to work on.
I like your response.
No, I mean, you're talking about the government of Cote d'Ivoire, and I think you alluded to that earlier when we started. But Cote d'Ivoire seems to be, there's a little tension beginning to simmer and what have you, but also in Guinea, and I think, in fact, the president of Sierra Leone is out of the country as we speak. So what is the AFL doing, to ensure that these border points, because they were the very points that started from which our civil war began. So what are you doing to ensure that these points are safe?
Okay, so I think the good thing about it is that we have very good relationship than ever before in our country history with our neighbors. I was just in Guinea the last time. Cote d'Ivoire, they are just appointed one officer to the armed forces of Liberia. So we have liaison. I went to school, the chief of staff and myself went to school in Sierra Leone at a military base there. So we have all of these connections, and so we really don't have to care much about the threat from across the border. We have to be really, really concerned about the threat from within, and this is why we are trying to admonish our politicians to be very careful about what they do here, because the threat is not just from out there. If any threat that will come from out there would be would be in the form of terrorism, of violent extremism, which we are working on. We are networking with our colleagues. So we really don't have to be many out of the unofficial border points or whatever. So you can just put in some of those plan or some of the action, and so it is working so well.
Working.
We really don't have to worry, but you have to be careful about how you just sit down. You have to be sleeping with one eye open.
I know. And besides, I mean, but also, while you're worried about what's happening across, you also got to worry about what's happening along the border and within the border. I mean, quite recently, the Yeke-Kaluba situation, for instance, that happened in Grand Gita, the AFL had to get involved.
Exactly.
So what necessitated the AFL involvement? Did the police couldn't handle it?
So with all of the conditions that should have been satisfied to bring the AFL out of the barracks, they were satisfied.
Okay.
We had the joint security there, the police, the LIS, the Drug Enforcement Agency, but they were outnumbered.
Outnumbered?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And they didn't, and they did not have the the resources to curtail that situation. And so we look at it, and it was reaching a flashpoint. And so we did everything that we could do. The commander-in-chief was informed, the justice minister was informed, the IG was involved, and so we
before your intervention.
Oh yes, and so we these are split-second decisions. Okay, we don't have to go in the room to talk for days, and this is how the security of the military works. I mean, before it even started, we tried to monitor it. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this is how fast and how far we can go with our operations.
So you were monitoring even before you were called upon.
Oh yeah, sure.
What does it feel like during our civil crisis? We had other African brothers coming, and when I mean you had the ECOMOG before it went into before it left and then transformed to armed forces,
right? And
they spilled their blood for us, to fix what we spoiled. Here we are today. I feel so proud seeing our men, and women serving on peacekeeping mission in the Sahel, in Mali area there. Recently, I think it was in January or somewhere around that area, that particular area, the Sahel, is supposed to be, of land acquired by the French, and it should be basically their territory. But now they're trying to pull out the forces, and we have our men in that. You care to talk about what's the morale of the guys, how long we're there for, and how did they get there in the first place?
So when you talk about the morale, I don't think anybody morale would be on an appreciable level if you are in a war zone, because they left their family, their loved ones, and dependents here, and they are serving there. We are doing quite well there. We are deployed in Timbuktu. Okay. About a few weeks ago,
historic town.
There was a military coup there. So, but they are honoring the UN, so they are honoring the command of the UN.
How many troops you got there?
We have 105, and we will be increasing that by March of 2021. We will be taking that to 150.
Wow. 150.
Yeah, and we have about 14 staff officers. Some are in Bamako, some are in Kida, some are in Timbuktu.
Do they engage in active combat?
Oh yes, I mean just about 1 or 2 years ago, I think you saw one of our soldiers came back, right? So they are involved, but that's not something that we put on the news or we talk about every day. Because if we do that, we'll be putting their families in a position, that would not really be acceptable. So we just get some of these news and try to work it through. But they are doing well there, and going there, I mean, there are a lot of questions about why they have to go there in the first place, but we must remember there has to be some level of reciprocity.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, we had our Guineans.
Thousands.
Yeah, I mean, our friends, our neybours.
Sierra Leoneans were here.
I mean, they came here.
Guineans were here.
Malians.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the only people who didn't see it were the Ivorians.
And so,
for obvious reasons.
and there was a second layer to that. Besides just going there to reciprocate what our brothers did, they will have some tactical and operational experience in theater. So when they get back, it makes them to be better, and they can try to, they may be spread out to the rest of the troops that have not been there. And so it will be good for us because they are not just going there to sit in a camp and just watch TV.
So it's sort of a training tool.
Exactly. Trying to actualize what they actually train for, and so that would be good. And then it will also help us to see how we can really work with our neighbors and our friends and our colleagues. So there are a lot of benefits to it. And then lastly, I mean, they will come back with something good because
that's what I heard. I heard that the forces like to go there.
What do you say to the cynics, those who think that the presence of the West African troops, being there was because they had the French and they were being killed by the tactics used by the Tuaregs and most of those militant or terrorists that were in that particular region? What do you say to those who think that we're fighting someone else's war?
Yeah, so if we would think that, then I would try to reverse that. Then somebody else's was fighting our war.
Right.
Yeah, so, and this is what I said, I mean, from the beginning, that it's just in the spirit of reciprocity. I mean,
Okay.
that's why we went there. I think it is good for us because you cannot just keep asking for help when
Right.
you say you cannot even give a pinch of help. And so that is just a minute contribution that we are doing and we are giving to the international community. So no one should see it like it was political or whatever. So even if the commander-in-chief was to ask me what would be my advice to him, or we should bring the troop back home, I would tell him, no, we should continue because we just have to be doing what we have to do
Right.
to help other
Our
people.
international contribution.
Right.
So walk us through this other part where so they get there and all of that. Since they've been there now, has any one of them received some sort of high honor and that you are proud of?
Oh,
Or
yes.
is it just
I think
okay?
no,
as a
no.
general team?
If you look at it generally, I think for the mere fact that the UN asked us to increase our troops,
You're doing
vote of confidence.
Right.
I mean, in our troops, and we should be proud every Liberian, not just me. If you are wounded in combat, you are giving a medal, but that really does not matter. I mean, your left matter or your left matters.
Right,
I mean,
of course.
more.
But you
So
get compensated,
yeah. So we are doing well there. I really don't want to go to the honor and everything, but I think the UN get explicit confidence in us. Explicit confidence, I can tell you for sure. So they are telling us to carry more of our guys there to serve. And we are serving a very hard zone. But the reality of it is that you cannot just take the troops there. You also have to accompany them with the necessary equipment to match that.
Correct.
Okay, and we don't have the resources to actually get all of those things that the UN would require.
So you
That's
have
why-
to bring your own.
Oh yeah. So like I said, when you are a troop contributing country or TCC, you have to carry your own equipment. So everything that we have is just like when UN was here.
Right, they
Most
brought
of those countries, I mean, they brought their own stuff. So when they were going, the only time they would leave here, except they look at the cost-benefit analysis of transporting it from here, maybe to Sweden, and say, no, I think it will cost more.
And
then they will.
And talking about that, you just opened the can right now. In Mali, there that means because the kind of war that is fighting there, you have to match the kind of weapons and all of that. What do Liberia expect to when that war is wrapped up? What do we expect to see rolling on our turf?
You see, so you want me to, yeah, I mean, Kwame wants me, I mean, he wants me to disclose the weaponry and everything, but
Right, you'd be proud
no,
I
but
mean,
I mean,
Don't think make us proud.
we
you know?
are fighting terrorists down there. We
Okay.
are fighting violent
Okay, I like
extremists, and they monitor everything. Yeah, don't think for a second that
not
that they
listening.
will just sit down there.
Right.
So if I would just tell you that you will be expecting to see
Okay, keep
this,
that
and
part.
you'll be
Let's
expecting to see
Sam
that.
said
You say,
don't
okay, oh,
declassify
all
that
right,
part.
yeah.
So that's for the
AFL.
AFL position out of the country, their military position and all that. But we also know that the AFL helps civilian authority. And we saw that quite recently play out very well with the COVID-19 situation, you know, where we saw the military hospital was used. And we know that you also use army doctors, right? Yeah, you want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we are contributing towards the COVID-19, and for the most part, I think you know that the 14th Military Hospital is being used, and I'm glad that the 14th Military Hospital was really supported, you know, in more ways. It was the commander-in-chief, after we talked about it, was his vision that we have our own military hospital. And I think you were saying it earlier, which community that you were going to take all those
Exactly.
pigeons, you're not
Can you
seeing
imagine?
some
Yeah.
protests or rioting around here. So I think the military is uniquely positioned to help with most of these things.
Correct.
And this is why it's always good for the not just the military, but for the security community to be supported. Because we don't go on strike. Strike in the military is mutiny.
Mutiny,
And then it's punishable by death, so you don't want to strike in the
A
military.
mutiny is punishable by death.
Yeah, but mutiny, I mean, if you in mutiny, you should know what will happen.
Yeah.
So, and this is why. But so we saw before man and the Almighty God to do what we have to do. And if we will, this is the highest calling. For you to leave everything and go in the barracks and just restrict yourself. And I think we're coming to that, like I said, to come to
So
look at the challenges and everything. But we are doing well, and we are part partnering with the GFK family for us to make sure that those who are at the hospital get the best care that they can.
So you were having I mean, I talked about doctors earlier, but I just want to talk about other profession. In the army, engineers. I know you help with engineering work sometimes and other stuff.
Right.
It's a whole profession. I mean, professional army.
Right.
You want to talk about the different,
Yeah.
What
So
we have.
yeah. So we have the engineering company that you saw around here that have been building roads, and when I was driving here, I heard you talking about the street lights.
Yeah.
They are going to be involved with that.
Oh, the engineers going to be involved.
yeah.
The army engineers.
Yeah, they are going to be involved. We have our nurses, we have some of our doctors who are in training, some are in China and some are in the US, and so we just have a whole community of people.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that anything that we want to do, if we want to build a house, we want medical doctor, or we want drivers, we have everyone there because in time of war, we have journalists in the military, so we are not going to come.
You got communication people there.
Yes, I mean, so we will not come to you because we came to your home and said, look, Boakai, you have to go and report to your wife and children about start crying.
Yeah, when you shouldn't go there, then
okay.
But what's the strength? What's the strength of the army?
Oh no, I can't disclose that now. Like I said,
But that's been public information. I mean,
I'm
talking about.
Oh no, but I mean, we all know that.
I know that you guys want to recruit, right?
Oh yes, and I was going to come to that. There are some challenges, and we will get into them after we have talked all of the good part because but we really want to recruit, and that budget was presented to the house when we went to the house to talk about our budget. We want to recruit. The attrition rate has been very, very high, and we want to offset that by trying to recruit.
Why is that?
People leave. It is not just the military, but even every profession. People will leave for various reasons. Maybe your wife or your husband don't really want you to be there again, or you want to travel, or you have another job, or sickness. I mean, so there are various reasons why people will leave, and this is why it is important that every year we have to recruit. But for the past 2 or 3 years, we have not recruited, which is very, very. I mean, not good, and so we made our case, and I think this year we should be recruiting during this budget year.
About how many people we thinking? How many men and women?
We will try to do it incrementally because every time you recruit one soldier or one individual, you are inadvertently recruiting about 4 or 6 persons because the average 19, 20-year-old guy or girl should have a fiancé or maybe 1 or 2 children, so you have to and provide all of the resources to take care of the quality of life of those people. Wow. So we will do it incrementally, maybe somewhere between 250 to 500, like that. And maybe
a year or per 6 months?
It depends on the package that we will have.
Okay.
So
the financial package.
Exactly.
So what do you do? You send men out at the various high schools or during the recruitment process?
Oh no, we do it in all of the counties, and we put up the
just an announcement.
Yes, and then people come in, or they apply and they go through all of the various steps.
So you don't have men in the field like you see
no.
in the U.S. walk and try to talk to you why you should enter the military?
No, we have stations, because we're not just being in the street. Like, I mean, we go to schools, we go to the universities, and we divide the country into regions. Some folks will go to Banga, some will be in town, and so it is a nationwide. You recruit, will not just be restricted to Monrovia.
Let's talk about
let's
talk about your barracks.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think now you need money to? Which barracks that you think now need some sort of urgency to be fixed?
I think out of the barracks, especially the EBK that hosts most of our soldiers and their families, we made it clear to the folks at Capitol Hill there for them to see reason to increase the budget to see how best we can renovate some of the buildings, some of the dilapidated buildings, or for to build new ones. Right. We also need increment in the electricity because we are using generators. We don't have city grid there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so we right now I think the soldiers are getting less than 6 or 7 hours of current every day. which
In
is
the barracks.
yeah, and which is unacceptable. If it's not 24 hours, we ask them to
At
increase.
least 12.
Yeah, at
Number
least
of
12.
hours.
At least 12 would be okay because you need a generator to be on the pump in water and other things. I mean, for soldiers to be able to see to move around in the barracks. You have some real critical places down there that you don't need to be that. I don't want to go into them. So those are things that we talk to our lawmakers about, and hopefully they will see reason for them to increase the budget.
The budgetary allocation for the military.
That was another thing we grew up on. I mean, I remember I was a little boy. My uncle and my late brother, S4 Sifotable, he died. He used to take us to the PX.
Or the
in
PS, the
barracks.
postal exchange.
Right.
Okay.
That's the way the military was raising money on its own. Is that something that you don't think?
Yeah, so we are working on that. The chief of staff and I will talk about it, and then I think we get some business folks who will come and do the bidding to see how best they can revamp the PS there, not just at the EBK, but to most of our big barracks.
Correct.
To help them.
If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Defense Minister Daniel Ziankahn. Minister Ziankahn is talking about the role of the military in maintaining the peace, but he's also just giving us an insight into the workings of the military. And at this point, we want to open the line so that if you're listening out there and want to pose a question, this is going to be the opportunity to do just that. You can call us on the following numbers: 0880-514-096, that's 0880-514-096, or 0776-089-713, that's 0776-089-713. Or call us on the other number, 0886 561-537, that's 0886-561-537, or 077-072-893. Minister Ziankahn, let's talk about, you care to talk about your personal life a bit? Yeah, because I think we've covered the bases as far as the military is concerned.
So no, but I really don't like to talk about my personal life because I really don't think it matters at this time. I'm thinking about.
You think it doesn't? Sometimes people want to just know who the defense minister is.
No, really, I mean,
who is the defense minister?
Yeah, what keeps me awake is
exactly.
how
What keeps you awake?
Yeah, how to get some most of the resources to get my soldiers to be who they have to be. That is to improve their quality of life, their dependents and their families. So I was just talking about some of the challenges that we face at the armed forces of Liberia. We are talking about electricity. We are talking about buildings. We are talking about some medical supplies for the clinics and the whole 9 years.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. Your name, where are you calling from?
This is Sarah that we took with the second account from Harper Bell account.
Cyrus, how is Hapa?
Yeah, Harper is great this morning. At least the rain tried to spare us.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, let me say appreciate the minister this morning for his level of professionalism that he has brought to the ministry and the way he has presented the issue. He is addressing some of the threats that aborted during the pre-campaign period because according to next guideline, the timeline, campaign is not. This is why when somebody is being threatened, the senator supposed to have complained to his body. He's in a normal body. If he said that he has been threatened when he has gone out there, he's supposed to have do a written communication either to the ministry or to the body, his body that he belongs to, but because he's in violation of the timeline that has been set, so he wouldn't care to complain. He just go on talk show using his postcard talking about rubbish that he's not supposed to do. This is not time that he belongs to a normal institution to strengthen the peace and stability. And I like the way the minister bullies because it's not about being emotional. I like the way he quietly talking about the issue. People like that, they don't really talk, but they are serious when they talking about issues that will strengthen the peace and stability. So I want to say thank you to him because this is not time that will be you go to the file of the president
Thank you so much. You two can call us on 088 11 025 11. 088 11 025 11 or 0775 128 523. Or the other number you can call is 0886 561 537. 0886 561 537 or 0770 728 893. We're having troubles with our studio lines. I mean, I can tell the studio line is not going through. Otherwise, okay, it would have been ringing by now. But let's talk to this other caller on our alternative lines. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, you were talking about what keeps you awake at night.
Yes, I think about my soldiers because I left from that institution, and so they look up to me for a lot of things, especially my relationship with other folks in government, and then the president. I think they expect me to use my leverage to get most of these things done, and we are working on them. I told some of them the capital the last time to work on some of these things for
Good
them
morning.
to see how I'm doing.
Sorry. Good morning.
No.
Good morning.
Yeah, where are you calling from?
Okay, hold on.
My name is Reverend. We're first I'm calling you from Banapon Campus.
Wilfred, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the new minister, but I have a concern.
Yeah, go ahead.
My concern is in some parts, all countries have one of the famous barracks in terms of the Mama barracks. Since then, we have not heard and not seen anything happening. We pass there, you can never tell that who were living there once. So I want to get what is the plan of the different ministry concerning this barracks?
Okay, thank you. Let's talk to this other caller. Good morning. Hello. Let's talk to this one. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Your name, where are you calling from?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, this is Apostle Kotaji from Yaro, calling from Boakai.
Alfonso, how is Total?
Okay, hold on.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead, make a point, Alfonso. Oh. We didn't get the last part of the question. We didn't get a question. Please restate it. Okay.
Compulsory savings.
Okay,
Compulsory saving, yeah.
let's take this other guy. Okay.
So I want to know what is the plan or the
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me say thanks firstly to the dedicated president. I listened to the spokesman of the National Port Authority for that gigantic bidding that will be dedicated. And Boakai, for one fact, in our Celtic, we said the capital, he faced the best bed, the mechanic faced the best car, but you don't have a good bed to land at home. If you go to the port, you will see great way to Liberia Kwame. But if you see the offices of the Port Authority, you feel bad. So today, I'm proud and say congratulations to the president. And let me say thanks to the minister in the studio. You know, when you were chief of staff and following your activities, I'm admiring you a lot. Now today, he's serving as defense minister. And we are very proud of the army. And they will continue to do that. And let me cover it on the national legislature, specifically the lawmaker from Sino, to support the issue of the security, the issue of the health, the issue of education. I'm not saying the other institutions are not much important, but basically the health sector is very much important. Education and security for our state is very much important. Thank you very much, and God bless us.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm Dave Freeman, and I call you from a Jehovah resident.
Go ahead, your contribution.
Thank you, sir. First and foremost, let me just appreciate the entire army and the minister in studio for the splendid work being carried out in the country and out of the country. And also, let me commend them for the level of disciplinary action taken against indisciplined officers. And I have one concern this morning that has to do with the issue of injured soldier. I just don't know the soldier, or just sometime last month when I took one of my neighbors to ELBC hospital around 11 in the night.
and this soldier came in, two soldier guys brought in a soldier in a wheelchair, and this guy was bitterly crying for severe pain in his body, and he was complaining about particles. I'm not telling you, man, particle. He was hit out in Mali, whatever it is, and the guy just kept crying in the hospital, almost burst into tears. This guy, and he said the government is not doing anything to have him taken out of the country for treatment. So I just want to send out this call to the minister in office to see how best they can send out whosoever that is wounded. I just know the soldier to see how best they can work around it to send this life-saving person out of the country because he is a defender. That's it. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Good morning. Thank you for taking me. I'm Brother Labo Santana. How you doing this morning?
We're doing good. Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is James Nelson and Yoko from here, Delhi. Where,
Okay, make it snappy. Yeah, your contribution.
I'm very grateful to him this morning. I want to urge him. He needs to work something very much because this election is coming up. Some of the things we are hearing from people, we have heard a lot of things from people that we got to stand very strong and not so this country not be hearing to another thing.
When you say people, you care to say who the people you're hearing it from or which side?
I don't want to call you right now, Chief. I'll tell you, I heard some of these jobs and things. I don't want to call you right now.
Okay, go ahead.
Some people have been saying in the media, some people have been saying in the street corners, some people say you pro-so and pro-ra, some people depending on hope of code to get it impossible. If we want this country to be peaceful, the last group of people that can help us for this country to be peaceful is the armed forces of the Republic of Liberia.
Okay.
So knowing the different minister being one of the professional presidents in this country, I know they will play their role so that our children can be able to have peace and go to school. And we can go back and be how we were looking at after 1995, 1996.
Right.
So, with the minister, I thank you very much. I pray that you feet on the ground and you will not take anything lightly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Your name, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Oldpa.
How is Zaza this morning?
Not too bad. I think the weather is just changing.
Go ahead.
I want to commend the Honorable Minister in office. My question to you is, sir, what is the yardstick that you using to rotate those men in Mali? According to information, this year September, another two supposed to be leaving to release the guy in Mali.
Okay, thank you.
Great question.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to take those and then?
Yeah, let's take those and then we can open the lines again.
Open the lines
Yeah, so
again.
a couple of concerns here. Somebody's concerned about the Camp Nama barrack. Another person is concerned about the compulsory savings. You know, also the Todi barracks. And then somebody was talking about the injured soldier in Elwa.
Speculation
And then,
of
the yardstick used for rotation.
Okay, so I will start from bottom to up. The last question was the yardstick that we use to rotate our troops. The troops, when we get them in after 1 year, they have to come back. But they cannot really come back right now. Because, this is why we push it up to March of next year.
Okay.
There will be some additional 6 months. And the reason is simple. We all should know what's happening in Mali. The land and air borders are closed. So we cannot really do anything now to bring those guys. And they are not ready, even if they were in Bamako. We don't have the strategic lift now to bring them. We should have the private plane now that you will go and tell them to come. I mean, you will be paying a quadruple of what you would have paid under normal circumstances. So these are things that they have to understand. It is not that we want to keep them away from their families and their loved ones, but there are some binding constraints that we have to subject ourselves to. So they have to understand that. So I think that satisfied the question of what's the yardstick that we use to get our soldiers back. As it relates to the injured soldiers, we take care of our own, and we will not leave any of our comrades behind. I think some of the things that people see or hear, they are not true. Yes, we should be doing more than what we should be doing, than what we are doing now, but I think that we are constrained in more ways than one. We hope that we have the resources to do everything that we have to do. If it is titles that you are referring to, I mentioned it when I was speaking with Boakai and Kwame earlier that we have one of our soldiers who came from Mali who was, was injured. He was just to my office about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think the chief of staff have just found a piece of job for him, or or appointment that he will just be in the barracks at least, or be reporting on the status of the soldiers. I mean, just to keep him out. But there is nothing that we can really do about some of these injuries. I mean, it is just unfortunate that some of them occur, but we have to do everything within our limit for us to see that these soldiers will get back to normalcy. About the Tony road, we will do whatsoever necessary to keep that road rehabilitated, but everything is a function of logistics, and this is why you cannot go and face a 20 or 40 kilometer road with just one drum of fuel. So this is why we have talked to our senators and our representatives to make sure we have those things included in our budget to see if we can renovate most of the barracks, including the Nama barracks that were just asked. The government have paid more than $500,000, and we are looking up to the government maybe this budget year for them to pay the balance money. I must say I was a contributor to that account, and hopefully I will speak to the president again and Minister Twe so that this money can be paid.
How much in total is supposed to be?
We were talking about some close to $1.5 to $2 million. Yeah.
And this is the savings for which the former defense minister
exactly.
is
So I really don't want to talk about it because it is in court. But I'm trying to speak to the government, at least if they can pay the balance for the soldiers and officers who are still left, who have not been paid.
And I think you said we're talking about how much? How much?
1.5 to $2 million.
And 500,000 have been paid.
Yeah, over 500,000.
Okay, that's good. Camp Nama. Yeah,
Camp Nama, just talk about it. It is not just Camp Nama. We have all of the barracks, including the ones that we have our soldiers in now, in Grand Judah. So we have Camp Wisner. We have other barracks around here. We have the Bombing Hill barracks and everything. So we are looking at least within the budget year, if we have some money placed there, we could try to renovate most of these barracks. Because in every county, that we have barracks there before the war, and they have been really demolished or dilapidated or whatsoever, form that they are in. So once we get the fundings, we will try to rehabilitate them to get our soldiers to occupy those barracks once again.
Yeah. Let's talk about your, I know that you guys underwent training with the different, military from some of these great countries like the US, the Chinese, Nigerians, and in fact we're also involved with you. How's your relationship with those different troops?
We have great relationship.
Do they still have men in Liberia to monitor?
Yes, we have the ECOWAS team here that we have ready to the headquarters of the Armed Forces of Liberia, and I just said that the Ivorian government is just seconded one officer to the Armed Forces of Liberia. That would be like a liaison officer. We still have some mentors here who are monitoring some of these things from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Sierra Leone. So we still have a great relationship, and we have weekly or monthly meetings with our folks from the U.S. Embassy. I should be meeting the British ambassador maybe by Monday. And so we still have very great relationship with them.
And that relationship entails also the supply of hardware.
The hardware. In fact, the Chinese and the U.S. government, the detonated some medical supply during this COVID time.
And so how far? What can we say about the logistics generally of the troops now? Because we know during Armed Forces Day, we see them they display some of every year we see an upgrade. Every year we kind of see an upgrade.
Yes.
So the government is obviously procuring some, but we know that there are some.
Exactly. We still have more to do. So we have moved, and we want to really move completely from what we call the light infantry to the mechanized infantry. Okay, the light infantry, for example, if you wanted to leave from here to go to Broad Street to fight, everybody got to walk from there about 4 to go there. But the mechanized infantry, where you would use vehicle,
choppers and so forth.
Yeah, not really a chopper, but you would use the armored personnel carrier or the APC or war tank. And in this place, we don't have tanks. What we have is the APC, the armored personnel carrier, and that was made available when the president and I went to the UAE and the Prince. Yeah. Okay.
I saw a number of those armored personnel carriers.
Exactly. When the commander in chief and I went out to the UAE and the Prince was able to give us some of them.
When you say some, you care to tell us the number?
No, like I said, I would not really go deep now. I will just tell you exactly that we have some, and you have seen them. But I will not tell you. And I think we just procured about 2 more. And we will be taking that to our guys in Mali, because the ones that we have here, we could carry some, but it's not really okay for the desert. Yeah, for the environment there, because it has what we call the level of blast. So if you take that there and there was some IED, the improvised explosive device, it would just blow the whole thing. In fact, it was shredded out.
Wow.
So you really need something heavier there, maybe about 10 kilograms that will have that clearance, that will be. So because everything you are doing, you want the safety of the troop. Okay, so we cannot take that. So we procure 2. And they are there, and 2 more will be coming from a company from the United States, and they will be taking that. So we are gradually moving from the light infantry to the mechanized infantry. Though we still have more to do with light logistics, we still need some troop carrier. I'm talking about the trucks. We still need some tactical vehicles. So there are a whole lot that we still need.
Do you sit down and say, no, I'm disappointed in this particular sector, and I'm just eager to get this particular thing fixed? So this is the military you have from 1 to 12, and you think 6 and 9 are working. Have you arrived at that moment?
Yeah, so
what would that be?
Yeah, the first and foremost thing it would be to see the troops, taking care of their families, their dependents. They need to be taken care of. I'm not just looking at all of those things will come, because very true, you can have all of the equipment, you can have all of the buildings, but if the troops if they are not taken care of, the morale will drop, dumping, and then you will lose every mission, every battle that you get into. So, like I said, the truth, we still need to do a lot as a government, as a people, to take care of them. We still need to get some fuel or generators, or maybe if we have the power, the city power grid closer for us to connect them. But in this case, we'd rather have the city power grid. So we want the budget to be increased to address the electricity issue. It is not just the EBK, but there are other barriers that we are in Lofa, we are in Grand Jida, Banga, we are in Tori, we are in Kamwe. So at least those clinics, they should have the medical supply to be able to take care of those. So there are a lot that we have to do more than just talking about some of these in logistics. Though we need them, but the first thing that we have to do is to take care of the troops.
Let's talk about women
in the army. I think for the first time we've had a woman deputy chief of staff.
Yeah, deputy chief of staff, George.
Yeah, how, and back then, the way we treat women back in the days is the same way the military then. Women were just like, oh, go buy or kobo, go do this and that. Is that the same thing with the women in the military today?
No, I think we said it earlier, there's a great evolution within the military. Things are really, really evolved.
Well, let's talk about
and this is why you found the first deputy chief of staff to be a female.
Yeah.
And we did not just give it to them on a silver platter. They earned it. She's a tough nut to crack. We went to school together. We went to basic training together. So I know what I'm talking about. So all of the females that we have in the armed forces of Liberia who are doing their best and who are deployed, some of them are deployed in Mali, some are staff officers, some are directly with the troops. They earn their spots. And so it's not like yesteryears where you just have them to be backbenchers. They are doing their best.
That's good.
Yeah. Anyway, as we close, you talk about missing the military. It's almost as if you've retired now, you're not going to go back.
Yeah, so, just if you were a professional basketball player or football player, you
Yeah.
know for the well that if you are retired, you will still
Yeah.
miss it, especially something
Buy
that
some balls.
that you train for and you give all your all to. So I mean, it is not that I want to go back because I can go back. If I go back, I won't be given chance to the younger ones to grow. So I have to graduate from that era. But if you talk about if I were to choose. Yeah, between two, the civilian life and the military life, every day I would choose the military life because of the regimentation. I don't have to be arguing with somebody to just do a piece of job. Once I tell you, say, look, I mean, you have to do this. It's an order. You have to do it. And if somebody tells me I have to do it, I don't have to be going back and forth. And so everything there is regimented. And this is why I think for those of us who the management, I think they will tell you that the military is the most disciplined organization in the world. And there's a reason for it because you are not going there now.
It's not a democracy.
The way you're going, just say anything. I mean, if your commander does not designate you to speak and you just want to have some loud mouth and speak, you are going to pay a heavy price for it. So,
as a head of the MOD, did you see this coming, young?
No, this is not something that I was looking up to when I joined the military. Yes, every soldier, every enlisted officer, you aspire to get at the top.
Right.
So at some point in time, was I thinking to be maybe the commanding general or maybe the deputy chief of staff or the chief of staff? Oh, sure, those are some of your aspirations. But I was not thinking about becoming the minister of defense. Those were not something that was in my dream. No. But when you join the military, you always want to be at the top.
Yeah. When you get back to the barracks, some of the times your men still miss you, right?
Oh yes, I mean it is. I mean, only thing that separates us is just the uniform and the civilian clothes. But I do everything.
As a matter of fact, you work from the barracks.
Yeah, so I mean, I salute them. They salute me because salute is a change of greetings. So it's not just one-sided, like where you have your subordinate to salute you. It is an exchange of greetings. So if somebody salutes you, you have to, return it or pay for it.
Anyway, finally, what's the final word to the Liberian people?
I just want to tell them thank you for maintaining the peace so far. I think we went through a lot, and I want to say thank you. And before I forget, I want to extend my deepest sympathy to the families of Colonel Coley. We have one of our soldiers who died. He was seconded to ECOWAS. Yeah. And so the body will be brought in this weekend or early next week. I want to extend my sympathy to them. But to the Liberian people, I will tell them that, look, we have to embrace the peace and we have to do everything to maintain the peace because there's a huge price to pay if we do not. So we should not just sit down and somebody go out there for the selfish gain. And I'm not saying that in relation to just one particular person. I'm generalizing, and this is why if you read my op-ed, I said, look, irrespective of your party, your position, or whatever, it is our responsibility, especially those of us in position of authority. We should make sure. And I was just thinking about something that I want to add there. I've seen all of the conferences and all of the workshops and whatever, but with everything that's going on, I'm not seeing the Council of Elders. I mean, the likes of Dr. Sawyer, Dr. Glewie. I mean, can they get together and try to see how best they can have some conference and try to reach to some of these
since you mentioned Dr. Sawyer, I mean, I just saw that he posted
that he
posted on Facebook that he had a brain surgery.
Okay,
so he's still recuperating.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I'm just giving an example.
The lights,
I mean, the lights are there.
See the elders. Our country has always been one.
And this is what really, 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 really amazes me. It's like, look, most of these politicians that we see around here, they all know one another, and they have one another numbers.
Yeah.
So if there was anything, they should be quoting one another
and
too.
You should see the way they meet at the bar or
exactly.
maybe hang out.
Exactly.
I mean, you just think, why are we fighting?
Why are they causing the innocent guys to
go
right in the place and be at each other? So I think, because I'm not saying this because I'm afraid, I'm concerned because if we degenerate into something, what it would take the country, like Sun Tzu, one of the most respected military scientists, He said war will always exhaust the resources of the nation. So we should do everything to redirect those resources that we should be using to solve problems. We should use it at least to take care of the health or schools or whatever, then to just use it for solving problems all of the time. So I want to tell them thank you, and I want to tell General Johnson and his men and women thank you. I want to tell the Ministry of Defense family thank you, and thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. That's the voice of Defense Minister Daniel Ziankahn. You know, like I said earlier, it's not quite often that we'll have the Defense Minister in our studio or in any radio station for that matter. That's why, you know, we have to exhaust all of the different concerns. And even some of the questions that people might deem, you know, not too appropriate, we wanted to put them forth so that he can address all of those different concerns. Which he did, you know, quite elegantly. So we just want to thank him for coming to our call today. Well, watch out for next week. We might just have another big fish right here in this in this seat. You know, this is the government's platform. It's MICAT Hour. We bring in officials of government to talk about the different works, you know, the works of the different ministries and agencies. Well, that's all the time we have for this for today's edition of the show. My name is Boakai Fofana. I'm the Deputy Minister for Technical Services at MICAT. I was on this platform along with
Kwame Oldpa, the Director General of the Liberia News Agency.
Bye-bye.
Bye.